Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get ourselves acquainted here. This might be a slightly shorter, well, maybe not this one, but a few of the future episodes are going to be slightly shorter. Um, but they'll be mixed up with all the other ones, so it'll be alright. These are just like, I guess, little snippets that Diggs thought would be interesting, or even or Asian GTG as well. So this should be fun. Either which way we cut it up. So I just want to put that out there as a disclaimer. All right, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the newsroom and welcome to the Goutopian News Network, your unreliable source for DSP News. This is a Snort Report brought to you by SnortBucks Coffee Company, best beverage company. Here we go. So, minus that little disclaimer on the front end, yeah, these, I'm looking at the docket, and at least the next 3 or 4 of these are going to probably be on the short side. Which is cool. So we'll just mix this up with some of the other. You won't even notice. You won't even notice. So it'll be a thing. But I thought I'd just put that out there. In any case, we're going to be talking about. Let's see if I got the order right on this. DSP is going to talk about missed opportunities to make money with Keemstar and LOLCOW live. Ooh, fun stuff, fun stuff, fun stuff, fun stuff. So DSP in his coming to his rationalization about taking the quick money, given the fact that he made so much money with Kino Casino, he sunk so much time in it, and they're basically taking the bacon off his back for it. Was going to Kino Casino the right idea over LOLCOW Live? Well, let's go ahead and delve into that, shall we? So let's go ahead and step into my favorite segment. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope it's also your favorite segment as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my TED Talk. The pluses and minuses of LOLCOW Live and Kino Casino is probably something I need to make into a I'll name the segment later, to be honest. And actually, you know what? I may even go the extra step. I might actually just reach out to some of my peers and ask them, like, hey, what were your thoughts on the Kino Casino arc, and what would that look like compared to LOLCOW Live, and what do you think would be the better? That might actually be a pretty good idea. That might be some pretty good brainstorming. Now that I think about it, that might be kind of neat. That might be kind of neat. Yeah, I might do that. That might be kind of cool. I already have some people in mind, actually. Proper, Declan, James Lesser. Not like, oh, fucking A, dude. I can finally get Dwight up here and whatnot, see what's up with him. Ghostly Wentz. I got maybe a dozen people I can think of that might be interested in doing something like that. Be a nice little thing to do every once in a while now I think about it, just to get people's random opinions about stuff. I'll make a note of that. In any case, as it pertains to my own opinions, my own professional analysis of it, it all depends, because now looking at how LOLCOW Live is all screwed up, and I don't know. It's hard to say. I want to tell you that the money, if DSP had made his demands front-faced or up front with Keem about not going on fucking camping trips or fat camp and all that silly shit, and it was just strictly stick to the show, I think DSP may have made more money in a shorter amount of time with LOLCOW Live than he would have with Kino Casino. The problem is like Rich, DSP can't commit. So if you're talking about, there were times where Boogie and Wings were making over $10,000 a month. You know what I'm saying? It probably even higher than that. To be honest, I've had some thanks, big ups to people who send me shit. I appreciate that. You really don't, I'm gonna keep you all anonymous because that's what you asked for. But I do appreciate y'all sending me information. It does mean a lot. Some people say the money was even larger than that. Like, I think Boogie has said somewhere between 14 and 17,000 a month at times. So we're talking about, that's a lot of fucking money. That's a lot of money that DSP ain't sat there and given up on. But that's neither here nor there. I think that we'll spin the block back on this later. But I'm thinking the comfort of Kino Casino and the fact that he thought he thought these people could protect him compared to LOLCOW Live, where he was going to get served up, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because DSP is getting served up to us every day anyway. He's doing it on his own accord because he can't do anything else. So I don't see really the difference between LOLCOW Live doing it and him doing it himself. So I don't know. Like, you're not, he really, and keep in mind too, and I want to make sure I make this a point, DSP still thinks he's people. So he still thinks he's normal. So he thinks that he can still attract normies, right, in a normal crowd. You know what I mean? To try to combat what he's already dealing with, the dents and his detractors, trolls, haters, and critics. So you've got that dichotomy too, you know what I'm saying? And you got that conflict, if you will. Now, not to say that the sector was any better, because it isn't, to be honest with you. They're going to ride his ass, probably, well, they'll eventually get tired and fade him out. But they're going to ride him pretty hard from here on out, for the most part. And compared to like LOLCOW Live, it's like, I don't know. It's really more of a quick money type thing. Would have made far more money, I think, but I think it would have been a quick money type thing. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll try to, if I remember to, we'll circle back at the end of the broadcast and we'll see if my opinion has changed. But right now, I'm going to say LOLCOW Live in the short term, to be honest. But given how much he bitched and complained to Kino Casino and all that, they would have turned around and exposed him anyway, and it is what it is. So whatever. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. We'll see what he has to say about his missed opportunities or whatever the case may be. DSP has never been good at making decisions. I mean, yeah, he has a habit of dodging bullets and shit, like this is the Gouty Matrix. He's dodged some bullets, let's be honest, but still, like, you know what I'm saying? It depends. It depends. Truth be told, going on LOLCOW Live may have only made him more eccentric. So it may not have even been a good thing, to be honest. But who can say? Who can say? In any case, thank you for coming to my TED Talk extended version, and let's go ahead and move along with our broadcast here. So let's keep it casual. Let's go to coffee shop type narrative. I like that. I like that. I like that. And let's pick our video. This should be it right here, actually. Okay. And for proper introductions. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Raw Phil. Big ups. This was cut by Diggs. Dark Side Phil, big ups to the Diggs. This is Dark Side Phil speaks on missed opportunities to make money with Keemstar on LOLCOW Live. This is from February 24th of 2025, our year of the snake. We're not actually at the snake inning yet, but we're year of the snake. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. I don't smell no bacon cooking.
Now, do you feel I missed an opportunity? An opportunity to make money? Perhaps. Now, what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, things had gone differently. What if...
Now, let's be honest, too. I'm going to jump in on this right away, because his little piggy shimmy into that nonsense, I'll bring it back so you can hear what I'm talking about, where he has like that small hesitation, that hezzy. It really comes down to not just the fact of making money. Is could he build some level of false camaraderie with these people? DSP would have walked in the LOLCOW Live with the blatant expectation of trying to fuck these people over and rip them off. Suck out the rest of them, no pun intended, but sucking out the last influences that they have, some of their pay pigs, if not all their pay pigs, and whatever resources Keem had. And which leads back to the situation between Keem and Duty, and how, despite the fact that I don't fuck with Duty, I do think that Keem fucked him over, and I don't really understand why Duty would try to stand up for him, but whatever. But how I think Keem fucked Duty over so he could further ingratiate himself with DSP, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot there that DSP was gunning for. But here's the thing, and I've tried to tell you this leading up to this particular broadcast. I've said this since LOLCOW Live started. DSP needed leverage, and the only leverage he could have was either keep getting Wings in pocket and then getting Boogie in pocket, or getting Wings on his side and turn him into the typical disgruntled employee, just like DSP is, and then get them to turn against Boogie and Keem. Hey, now I have half of control of the show because I'm literally half the host. You know what I'm saying? So there was that type of manipulation. Now DSP's stupid. He thinks he's smart. He thinks he's clever. He thinks he's cunning. And he thinks he would have been able to facilitate that situation. The reality is he couldn't. He never could. You know what I'm saying? It would have been lazy. It'd have been stupid. Wings would have had to do all the heavy lifting. And because Wings is already naturally disgruntled and whatnot, it would have been easy to play off of without overly committing. So this way, if he needs to drop wings later to save himself and side with Boogie and Keem, he could. So anyway, I'll try to give you some more of my methodology as we move along with this, but that's my thought process. DSP couldn't figure out a way to screw them over. So, and if he couldn't bring them over to his own content, then there was just no point in doing it. Kino Casino, at least at that time, may have been the path of less resistance for him. Or least resistance, I'm sorry.
Now, do you feel I missed an opportunity? An opportunity to make money? Perhaps. Now, what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, things had gone differently. What if Keemstar had actually legitimately made me an offer to be on LOLCOW Live, which he actually didn't. It didn't go, it never happened. Okay.
That's actually a lie. He did that through Boogie. But then on top of that, the few interactions they had where Keem was like, hey, I want to try to get you on the phone. I want to try to get you on the phone. DSP admitted later that he was literally wasting Keem's time by ducking his calls and ducking interactions to try to waste Keem's time. He ends up admitting that later on down the line, like months later. I've already done a broadcast on that. It should be out by this point. So it's in one of those LOLCOW ones that I did. But DSP actually admitted to doing it. I'm pretty sure I have the video in there.
Okay, but let's say he did. Let's say we had connected and he had made this offer, which supposedly was going to be $50,000 to do LOLCOW Live for that first year or whatever and go from there, right?
But also taking the 50 grand, great screenshot, taking the 50 grand would have cut him off from begging. That's another thing too. And as I've tried to tell y'all, begging is an addiction for him. Begging is a thirst or a hunger that he can't satiate and he can't give it up. He needs it. And the reason why he needs it is because it's something that he's always done. Throughout his childhood, throughout, adolescence and so on and so forth, he's always begged, or let's say it started off as just asking for help. Then it started to get demanding. Then that demand turned into begging. He's always done it. He's done it even in his early YouTube career. He did it. You know what I'm saying? Whether for PayPal or, for PayPal, because that was way before Patreon. He did it for PayPal to play games or whatnot, or he did it for likes, or he did it for views, or he did it to share his videos around because he was too lazy to do it himself, so on and so forth. He's always begged. It's a natural mechanism that he has. It's part of who he is, and he can't stop that. 50 grand makes it very, very difficult to fucking, at least all at once, or up front like that, makes it very, very hard to stop begging. And truth be told, ladies and gentlemen, go back and look at Kino Casino. The whole time he was with them, that 8 months, and the 50 grand that they brought him, and on top of that, he never really stopped begging. He didn't stop at all. He kept begging. You know what I'm saying? He just was given a new way of doing it. He was empowered in a new way, in a different way, that made what was a very shameful act seem like, oh, well, these guys do it and they're successful and they're encouraging me to do it. So I'll just copy them. So then, oh, well, if you're going to say that I'm a beggar, well, then you got to say that about Kino Casino too. The thing is, people like Kino Casino. Or they find what they do is entertaining. Two things that DSP could never match up to. Womp womp.
I mean, to be honest,
something that you know very little about. So you really need to stop saying stuff like that, to be honest. You don't have the practice.
Don't know if it would have affected me positively or negatively. It's impossible to tell. I can tell you what goes through my mind. Like, if I'm going to be doing that show full time and be one of the major hosts of the show, right? Well, take a look at how much they stream. Take a look at how much content they make, right? It's dominant. Like Boogie.
That didn't stop you from doing stuff with Kino Casino. So what sense does that make exactly? You resurrected a whole entire show so you could do something with PPP. You were over there sending what one could make the assumption of homosexual advances to Andy, and also wanting to do gaming content with him. So it's funny how you were willing to make time for those two individuals, but you wouldn't jump on another podcast for 2 hours. Well, back then it was 5 days a week. DSP could have said, I only want to do it 2 or 3 times a week, and it still would have worked out, because then you really get to see the peaks of DSP's influence. Sorry, this is me This is me deep in thought. DSP is not capable of doing this, so I won't even try to push that on him. But you get my drift, right? So he could, and that's another thing too, because DSP is so used to being catered to. He doesn't know how to negotiate. He doesn't know how to haggle. He doesn't know how to come to the table with a list of demands and be able to present it and then be able to fight for it afterwards. He basically needs you to present him with the world and then he'll take it. You can see that with just the machinima contracts. Did he ever go back when, did he ever fight in those negotiations with machinima to, oh, don't cut my pay, you know, whatever, can we work something out? Can we do this? Can we do that? No, he took whatever pay cut that they gave him, and his only real deference or his only real defiance of it is, well, hey man, I'm doing the best I can, this, that, and the third. He would rather keep things the way they were instead of asking for more. And the reason why is he knew his content was slop. He knew he had no leverage. He knew he had his peers, at least a lot of them that were coming in, were putting out more entertaining content. Fuck the meaningful bullshit, that cope nonsense that he likes to do. Like actual entertaining content. The content needs to be entertaining before you can start pulling what's meaningful out of it. It has to be entertaining first. That's the draw. That's the snare, if you will. Right? But Phil's an idiot. He doesn't understand that psychology. And that right there is not just social, but that's business psychology. You know what I'm saying? Let alone, you don't want me to start getting into game theory, which he probably doesn't know much about that either. So it is what it is.
In Wings, they've pretty much dropped their independent efforts in order to just focus on that show.
They weren't doing anything. What are you talking about? Wings was streaming to less than 300 plus people at that time, and he was miserable as shit. Boogie was fucking floundering, trying to get money any way he sees fit outside of his typical fence sitting on political topics or drama and whatever fucking nonsense pity parties he was having on his own shit. They didn't have any endeavors. That's why they went into that shit full stop. Even Tommy C, who was doing his own little situation over there, the commentator community, at least his part of it, or the part that he's associated with, is ass blasted out. Like there's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? They ain't sat there and shit in the fucking pool too goddamn long. And the only person who's kind of stepped out of it, who's kind of all right, is Nicholas Diorio. What's his name? Augie was just kind of wasn't even fully back into the game yet. And Willie Mack was doing pretty good actually before, because he was on Hassan's neck pretty hard at that time. And then I can't remember what he did, a video on somebody, and it shit went left. I think it was a Destiny video before the one where he ratted him out to the police. But it was a Destiny video where shit got iffy. I wouldn't even say it was really ratting because Willie Mack, I mean, Destiny admitted to Willie Mack that the girl was underage, and Willie Mack called the police. Is that really ratting? You know what I'm saying? Like that's legitimately a crime and shit. You need to get fucking Destiny's fucking underage loving ass up and out the fuck pocket. So I don't know if you could consider that ratting. I would, but maybe that's just me on my camera and shit. And if you guys know that reference, you know that reference. So make of that what you will.
Correct? Am I wrong in saying that? So that's their full-time job now. Okay.
Yeah, let me bring that part back. Like I said, they didn't have any other prospects. Stop. Stop. That was pathetic that you even brought that up. And then this shows you how stupid he is. If they did have their own prospects and they decided to drop everything to go to LOLCOW Live, then apparently they thought that it was a far more lucrative venture or enterprise to get themselves into. You don't see that, DSP? No. You want to know why? DSP thinks when he says stupid shit like that, great screenshot, by the way. Reason why DSP says stupid shit like that, and he thinks it sounds smart, is because he thinks he's flexing his independence. He's not. What he is he's a fucking grown-ass man baby who wants his freedom and doesn't want to be tied down. And he falls into this very interesting category that most people mature out of, but most people don't, is conflicting what the difference is between freedom and independence. There's a difference. A child craves freedom to do what they want when they want. An adult strives for independence, to be able to move the way they need to move for their best interest. You know what I mean? Who can rationalize what a situation is and being like, you know what, I don't have to stay here and do this. I can move on to greater pastures that will put me where I need to be, where I want to be, where I deserve to be later on down the line. I don't have to settle. That's the difference between freedom and independence.
Time and be one of the major hosts of the show, right? Well, take a look at how much they stream, take a look at how much content they make, right? It's dominant. Like Boogie and Wings, they've pretty much dropped their independent efforts in order to just focus on that show, correct? Am I wrong in saying that? So that's their full-time job now, okay? So if that had happened to me, and I had to drop all my streams and everything to do that as a full.
And now keep in mind though too, well, let me give him a bit of grace, and I really don't like doing that. Well, let me do so. In the early days, when DSP was first pitched this idea, there was only 3 shows. Well, no, there was only actually, in the beginning it was only LOLCOW Live, and then within a few months, then that's when LOLCOW Queens happened, because that's when Becky used Review Tech USA's ass to relaunch her career. Womp womp to that. And then Rewind happened. Yeah, because I want to say Rewind happened because that's when. Because I want to tell you, because who's that? What's her name? Xylee, or Crylee as they call her, because she always bitching and complaining about something. Xylee. That's when Xylee and Billy the Fridge came in later, and they were the ones to recap those 2 shows, and now obviously do all that. So in the early days, he would have only had to focus on the show and then prep for the shows, and then that would have been it. That'd have been a wrap. In our current day and age, right, or at least over the last year or so, DSP may have been asked to, we need you to jump on one of the other shows because one of the hosts are gone. Or, hey, these guys are fucking up with OBS or something. Can you go in and help troubleshoot that shit? There's stuff like that, which are things that Wings and Boogie have done at one time or another. So, but DSP would have never have agreed to any of that shit anyway. He would have just wanted to show up to the show and that's it. So I like the fact how he's trying to inflate all of this bloat, because that's what it is. All this additional bloat that he would have had to do and how much more time it would have taken out of his day. When your dumb ass is going to sit there and keep doing the same slop that you're doing when for pittance, to be honest with you, like for this paltry amount, when you could have been on LOLCOW Live 3 to 5 days a week and you're making damn near triple, if even more than that, what you pull in a week on doing your own shit. The math isn't mathing. But DSP's an idiot, so what do you expect? What do you expect?
Time job. I actually would have lost money. Seriously, I would have lost money.
Let me explain this. This shows you how greedy and stupid DSP is. But let me explain this to you real fast. I would have lost money, or he would have lost money. Here's the thing: if he's over on another platform getting the bag, right? Because that's how he likes to call it, getting the bag. He thinks that makes him sound hip and cool, I guess. When's he gonna have time to fucking beg the dents for money? And then more importantly, how much leverage is he gonna have over them if they know he's pulling all this money in super chats and everything and ad revenue over there on LOLCOW Live? That's what he means about he be losing money. And he knows it too. And he knows it. So just to give you an idea of how greedy this useless piece of human garbage is. You know what I mean? Just to give you all that. Here, let me bring that back in full context.
And I had to drop all my streams and everything to do that as a full-time job.
Even though it's only 2 hours. Keep in mind, he could have done, in LOLCOW Live back in those days, what was it? It was, shit. I want to tell you, LOLCOW Live was like mid-afternoon, if you will. So he literally could have done the Bottom Bitch podcast, the daily therapy session. He could have done 2 hours of gameplay, break, do LOLCOW Live, and then go ahead and do the night stream and be done. Instead of 4 hours of slop gameplay, he only gives you 2. Or hell, he gives you an hour and a half of it, whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? And the video can be split 45 minutes, 45 minutes. Cutting out the begging sessions, all the begging segments, that hour and a half would actually probably turn into an hour. Whatever. Anyway, so you cut that out. and whatnot. So he would have had more than enough time. I'm doing this on the fly. Like, I'm thinking this, like, all this is going on in my head right now, and I've already got this shit moving on. You know what I'm saying? I'm already coaching him and shit. I already got the play going. You know what I'm saying? All I needed his ass to do was execute it. It's all in my own. Like, I'm thinking about all this shit on the fly. This idiot's got all day to sit here and fucking deal with this bullshit, and he can't figure it out. Which shows you what kind of mongoloid he is. Which really shows, ladies and gentlemen, how much heavy lifting his mother and father had to do for him academically. I want you to really take that into consideration. It's something that we speak about, you know what I'm saying, in jest, and we kind of just move on from it. But I really want you to think about what kind of heavy lifting Linda and Dave did for him academically. I really want you to take that in. Because it's far more than what we give him credit for. 40-something years old, he can't even manage his time right. He can't budget right. He can't even keep relationships with people. Just imagine what it really was like academically 20 plus years ago. Damn near 30 years ago. Think about it.
I actually would have lost money. Seriously, I would have lost money because I would have had to just do that and drop everything else I do. That was one of my concerns, is if I sign on for something like that and I'm fully committing all of my time, right, to it, then sadly, I don't think that I would have made as much as I do doing my own thing. All right. Now, long term.
Now, keep in mind, nice salute. Interestingly enough, he's legitimately contradicting himself, being that look at all the money he made with Kino Casino. And he was willing to stick into that for 8 months. And he wanted to participate on their show far more than they actually let him. Keep that in mind. But he says they didn't do enough for him. Even though every idea they tried to throw at him, at least according to the DM leaks and PPP, he damn near shot the majority of them down. He wanted to do the WWE Champions, or sorry, he wanted to do the Smart Guys 2.0 with PPP. He wanted to have a gaming sesh with Andy. So he wanted to do some gaming with Andy twice a week, probably. Wanted to do the Smart Guys thing once or twice a week, depending on how that money looked. And then he wanted to do an appearance on their show a couple times a week. That's literally what he was aiming for. But he don't have time to do fucking LOLCOW Live? Make it make sense.
Let's say we get through that first year, right? And the first year, you're slogging through or whatever, and the show blows up. And the show is now making tons of money. And now, instead of me just being based on a flat contract of $50K a year, now the contract is...
You're messing that. He's conflating that too. It was a $50K sign-on bonus. It wasn't $50,000 a year. He's purposely lying to you. He's purposely lying here to try to muddy the waters because he really think nobody paying attention. It was a $50,000 sign-on bonus. Then he got. Let me stop. Let me bring that back. Let me rewind it. Okay, it was a $50,000 sign-on bonus with a 25% stake in the show and everything that it makes. That's what the deal was. It wasn't $50,000 a year each and every year. It was $50,000 to sign on plus a quarter or 25% or a fourth ownership of the show and everything that entails. So either he didn't understand the deal or he's lying. And the thing is, Keem actually reiterated what the deal was on Side Scrollers when he basically went up there and talked to DSP and the rest of those guys directly. So why is DSP lying about what the terms of the deal is?
Oh, you're making a cut of everything, right? You're making a cut of this profits that we're making on the profits from the show, right? Then long term, that could work out. All right, for sure. But
wait, I'm missing something. Let me bring that back. Because is he saying he was guaranteed $50,000 a year plus a cut of the show? Because that's not what he was offered. So I'm really starting to lean into either he's delusional, which obviously he is, or he's lying to himself, or both. Because now I really don't think he understands what the term of the deals were. The terms and conditions, I should say, of the deal. I don't think he actually understood what the deal was now.
And the show is now making tons of money. And now, instead of me just being based on a flat contract of $50K a year, now the contract is, oh, you're making a cut of everything.
But that's what the initial deal was anyway. Well, except for the 50K a year, he never. All right, all right, all right. Let me calm down. Let me calm down because he does this shit on purpose. He does this shit on purpose. He purposely gives you word salads, and he talks out of both sides of his fucking snout because he wants you to get confused. So he wants you to get agitated or upset. So you just give up on it and just take in what he says. I've been doing this long enough that I should know this. Okay. DSP is saying that Keem offered him 50 grand a year plus a cut of all the profits, or basically a percentage of what the show brings in. That's not what he was offered. He was offered a $50,000 sign-on bonus for the first year and a cut of what, and then a percentage of the show. That's what he was offered. So now it makes me wonder. This is why you got to keep a clear head, especially with these LOLCOW fucking monkeys. Now what it's making me think is he wanted guaranteed money. He basically, I think, is what he wanted was he wanted Keem to write up a contract saying, no, you're going to pay me $50,000 a year baseline, and I get a percentage of the show. I think that's what he wanted, and I've never actually considered that. So he's not conflating that, oh, no, it was just a $50,000 sign-on bonus like the other guys got, and then you get a percentage of the show. No, he wanted $50,000 a year off rip, guaranteed. His appearance fee, if you will. I don't know how I missed that. He literally tried to finesse Keem out the rip, off the jump. Ooh, boy. I didn't even think of that. Oh, yummy, 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 yummy. I didn't even think of that. That's what you were doing. That's why you won't. You and Keem did talk. That's why Keem won't do business with you. Or that's why you won't. No. Let me reword this. This is what I think happened. I think DSP used that $50,000 sign-on bonus, and he's like, no, you'll give me the $50,000 sign-on bonus so I appear on the show so the other two idiots can get their money. But I want 50 grand from you guaranteed, and I want a percentage of the show. So each and every year, I want my 50 grand, right, off top, immediately, and I want my quarter percentage of the show and everything that entails. That's what DSP wanted. He wanted the guaranteed money each and every year on top of his cut of the show. That's what he wanted. And Keem wouldn't budge. And that's why Keem was so desperate to talk to him. That's why he needed to talk to him face to face, or not face to face, but he needed to get him on like a call and whatnot to try to see if he could talk DSP off the cliff. And DSP wasn't willing to budge. That's why DSP kept ducking him. Because DSP looked at it as, you don't have a show without me. Eventually those other guys are going to fade it out, which kind of is true. But anyway, amongst a bunch of other things. Pay me my 50 grand up front. And then I get my quarter percentage of the show, and then you have a deal. That's why DSP got so mad at fucking low tier God when he was like, why didn't you just go over there and take the 50 bands? That's the reason why DSP is so mad about it. Because he wanted more than that. He wanted a guaranteed 50K each and every year on top of his percentage. I didn't think that. I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of that. Okay, hold on a second. I need the brains back.
Have made as much as I do doing.
Okay. Yeah, we'll start there. I didn't think of that. That's the reason why he's so butthurt about it. Especially when LTG threw it in his face. And that's why his only cope was, well, they didn't offer you 50 grand. What DSP don't know, because he's stupid, is that Wings was pulling to get LTG up there. And the reason why LTG didn't get signed on to that deal is because Keem knows he can't control him. And Keem would have to actually probably respect him. You know what I'm saying? Not look at him necessarily as a peer, but he would actually have to respect him. He couldn't treat him like the other dancing monkeys. Excuse me. On top of that, what kind of reserves would Boogie have? Because remember, one of LTG's claim to fame is shitting on Boogie. Now, Boogie can act like that shit rolls off his back like, you know what I'm saying, water off a duck's ass and shit. But truth be told, who knows what kind of misgivings Boogie may have had. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. That makes a little bit more sense. Okay. All right, here, let's get back to it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take up all your time like that. But that makes a little bit more sense now.
My own thing. All right. Now, long term, let's say we get through that first year, right? And the first year you're slogging through or whatever, and the show blows up, and the show is now making tons of money. And now instead of me just being based on a flat contract of $50K a year, now the contract is, oh, you're making a cut of everything, right? You're making a cut of this profits that we're making on the profits from the show, right? Then long term, that could work out. All right, for sure. But in reality, did I miss an opportunity? The only opportunity that I missed was to make money. That's it. Okay. I would have been forced into doing a style of content that I do not enjoy.
You literally said the exact same thing about Keto Casino like a month or two later. That they were forcing him to change. They were forcing him to go into a style of content or a genre that he wasn't interested in doing. What's the... Sorry, I'm still kind of reeling over the demands of that deal. But this right here is just contradicting himself. He's literally copy and pasting what he's saying right here, and he applied that to Keto Casino literally like a month later. So what's the difference? Oh boy.
I don't like stunts. I don't like pranks. I don't like drama. I don't like any of that shit.
Despite the fact that PPP was prancing his ass around during Smart Guys, the Grill Phil segment each and every week. Okay.
Of the LOLCOW shit, I just don't like it. You know what I mean? I don't want that at all. That's not me. That's not the content that I would ever want to make. You know what I mean?
And then he doesn't even see the contradictions of what he's talking about. So you're given a chance to make some money and actually be independent, right? Not have to beg for money, not to have to beg for contributions, but you have this outside thing that you can do outside of your content that's now supplementing you. And if truth be told, becoming the primary, your primary source of income. And now you can actually sit there, play games, have fun without the stress of money hanging over you. And why is it that he's so hard? Why is he so desperately fighting to be back in that desperation spot again? Think about it. So let's remix that. You're giving a chance to make money doing this thing right here, so you can do this other thing that you love so much, and now you don't have to worry about the pressures of finances or money. Why is it that he's like, well, no, I don't want that. I gotta bleed them on. I gotta make money on both sides of it. And yeah, I tell you guys that I love gaming and I love the gaming sphere and all that bullshit, right? This is my passion. I'm a lifelong gamer, all that bullshit. But I still need to beg you guys for contributions too. I still need my time to be compensated. I still need to be compensated for my time over here as well. Why is that, Phil? Because it's not even about gaming. It is just about begging. That's literally his end-all be-all for the day, is begging. It's the only thing that he has that fills time, that fills space. He's a shit gamer. He doesn't even like games, and I don't think he ever liked games, to be honest with you. It was just a means to an end. But he's terrible at it. He hates being mocked for it, but it's the only thing he can do. Because idle hands do the devil's work. And if he goes to LOLCOW and he makes that money over there, then what's he going to do? Be a talking head over here? Then that's going to be even more detractors fucking shitting on him for all of his dumbass takes. So we have to go to the gaming shit. Okay, well now he's going to get mocked by all the people in the gaming communities and shit. But DSP thrives on negative attention. He needs it desperately, just as much as he needs the bag. So you're seeing somebody. I'm not gonna use the term man, at least not with him. Fucking man, that's not the case. But you're seeing this pig literally doing what I've always told you he does. He will choose his ego over money. He's got a slam dunk deal over here with this LOLCOW Live thing, but he loves the ridicule. He loves the drama. He loves the hate and negative attention that he gets over here, and he can't give it up. On top of, he can't give up begging. On top of that, he can't give up his excuses for begging. LOLCOW, or so Kino Casino worked out because it fed that need of drama and all the bullshit and all that and this, that, and third, while he still holds on to the detractors. He still can beg his dents for money and go ahead and say, oh, I'm doing it to own the trolls. You see what the method, what like his methodology is? Like you see like what his MO is? It's always been clear to me, but it hasn't been as clear as maybe not since this. That's neither here nor there. That's absolutely fascinating. That's absolutely fascinating. He doesn't have, or he didn't have, I should say, a good reason not to go to LOLCOW. He went to Kino Casino because instead of being ridiculed, instead of him being the victim for profit, he thought with Kino Casino he could be the victimizer. He could be the predator. He could be part of the pack, right? Not the alpha, but he could be part of the pack. And he thought that would give him real power. Interesting. Okay. I gotta say, this is why you rewatch stuff. So, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff.
So I would hate myself and the content I'm making just for the sake of making a paycheck. You know, for guys like Boogie and Wings, I guess they just don't care, or the money is more important to them than anything else. But for me, I do care. Like, I want to do something that I feel is meaningful and positive for an audience, that I feel is good for me and for them. And if you look at the style of content that I put out, I feel like it is, right? Whether it's a chill podcast with interaction, whether it's gameplay, whether it's a review, whether it's hanging out and having chill nights and variety streams. And yes, even the fun DSP tries-its and marathons and things that we're doing as rewards for goals. I like this Smart Guy show that I'm doing now. I think that it's a lot of fun. That's what I mean. Like, that's the kind of content.
Nah, he was scared. Look how stressed out he is. If he's supposedly having such a good time, why is he so stressed out like that? On top of that, excuse me, I'm thinking about this too, which is funny because theoretically the Grill Phil segment does the same shit, but whatever. Think about everything that he does on his own content, right? If you want non-tent, let's call it that, because that's really what it is. All of that shit is ammo for LOLCOW Live. So if he was on, so let's reword this. Let me paint you the picture. So he's on LOLCOW Live, right? Or he's part of LOLCOW Live. And then he's still doing his daily slop. Any dumb shit that he says or does, LOLCOW Live's content team are going to clip that shit. And then they can throw it in his face and have a good laugh at it, have him explain it, whatever. And then they move on to the next subject. He's not going to be part of the content. He would literally be contributing to the content. That's what he's mad about. Because think about what he said earlier, right? Oh, well, Boogie and Wings, they would have to drop everything that they do and devote themselves to the show automatically. Keep in mind, Breaking Banquet, as well as Lummox, were still featured. Well, Lummox not so much. Breaking Banquet was a few times. Was still featured on LOLCOW Live when Wings was there the first time. Wings didn't like it, but it was a thing. So imagine one of my favorite detractors, Snort being featured up there. Imagine another detractor that I really like, Memology, up there. Or another detractor that I like, Snort Hogan, up there. Or pick your favorite detractor's favorite detractor. Imagine one of them guys being featured on a show on LOLCOW Live that DSP's on, and he has to explain away some dumb shit he said that they edited or clipped together. Imagine that. Big ups to all of them, by the way. But like, imagine being in that type of situation. Imagine a Mighty D video being brought up, and they have a laugh at it for about 20 minutes, and DSP has to sit there through it. Imagine all of these different things. Despite the fact that Kino Casino used to laugh at different detractor clips of DSP while DSP was still associated with him. They didn't just start doing this after the snakening. They've been doing it. Oh, wow. The compartmentalizing is fantastic. This is mental gymnastics on a fucking gold medal fucking routine. And he knows it's bullshit, because if you're really this happy in your current situation, why are you looking like that? He knows it's bullshit. It's the only thing that keeps his reality together. He knows it's bullshit. He knows that what was going on Kino Casino was only a lesser blow than what LOLCOW Live was. If he could have gone for the money, he could, but he wouldn't have been able to dictate the terms that he wanted. Not just the financial terms that we just spoke about earlier, but I also want certain things not to be brought on the show. And he can't do that because he doesn't have any leverage, which this goes back to what I was telling you about how he needed Boogie and Wings on his side too. Because if there's 3-on-1 against Keem, yeah, Keem's going to obviously owns the show and he's going to have the larger percentage. But if all three of the cows are mooing at him angrily and saying, hey, we don't want troll content on here, onto the show, we'll talk about the segment, but we don't want the video visuals, then Keem kind of has to concede to it. Because Keem would have already been out of the money. He would have already paid the money out to them. So he'd be losing money on his investment. It's not complicated. It's not even close to being complicated, because trust me, I can make it a whole lot worse. But interesting. It's really interesting how well, see, this is the reason why I watch stuff over and over and over again, because that's how you get full context. You'd be surprised what you miss. Fucking A, bruh. I'm surprised I missed that much of it that early on. But then again, this was like 7 months ago, so I think I'm deserving of some grace. But still, it's an interesting perspective. It's an interesting perspective. And if DSP was willing to talk to people, he would be able to get that perspective, but he has nobody in his life. He has nobody to talk to. He talked to Jasper, but Jasper don't talk back. Well, maybe he do, and maybe we just don't. Maybe it's in DSP's own head. Maybe they actually do have father-son conversation. I don't know. And for sure, him and Catherine don't talk. They just bitch at each other. That's very clear. That's very, very clear. Especially in a marriage. In a marriage of convenience that has no sex whatsoever. It's very clear. There's just a whole lot of bitching and complaining going on. So, womp, 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 womp. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Content that I want to leave as my legacy. I don't want my legacy to be, the time when I was drinking piss out of a bottle for a cheap laugh, or smearing feces all over myself, or burying myself, or pretending like I'm of a political party and going to the opposite party's rally. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, he doesn't have any real. I mean, DSP is political. He's just not political in the way that you think. He's an absolute fucking fence sitter for sure, for sure. He don't, and that in public, he don't want to commit to nothing because he doesn't want to deal with the backlash. So there's that too. So it doesn't really matter. But even then, all that shit is small scale. To be honest with you, doesn't mean anything. Not out like, and yet again, this goes back to the whole thing about DSP wanting to have a wider appeal. He wants to be perceived by normies, and he was going to try to use drama and or LOLCOW content to do so, which was never going to happen. DSP can't accept the fact that he's part of this niche part of this niche part of the internet. He can't get out. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really what it is. Like, let's compare him to another one of my favorites, Almighty Tevin. Praise me. Tevin does gaming content. He does some reaction content. He's got a background in music. He's got all these different things that go for him, right? That's the reason why Tevin has succeeded the way he succeeded for as long as he succeeded. DSP could never have that because he doesn't have that versatility. And he doesn't have that open-mindedness, right? What Tevin don't know, he's willing to learn. DSP's not willing to do that. He needs everything to work out of the box, or he needs to have somebody in the chat that's ready, willing, and able to walk him through it, or hand hoof him through it, or hoof hold him through it, if you will. You see what I'm saying? That's the limitations that DSP has against his top detractor. So how the fuck is he going to compete with a normie? And how is he going to, more importantly, appeal to a normie or a group of normies with a very closed-minded mindset like that? How do you do that? I can explain a lot of things, but I can't explain that. Unless he can weed the dents out.
That's not me. I would much rather work 6 days a week full time making the content that I love and making less than spending, I don't know, the few hours a day that they're working there on LOLCOW Live doing garbage content that I don't like.
So you would rather slave away doing slop and believe that you're in control and believe that you have the freedom that you have, instead of making guaranteed money damn near and be able to take care of yourself and your family. Because keep in mind, every time he has an excuse for doing something or not doing something, it's because I want the best for my family. I'm trying to do the best for myself and my family. Sounds to me like he's just trying to do the best for himself. And even then, it doesn't exist. It's an illusion. It's a mirage. So who does DSP really fight for? I want you to think about this real fast. Who does DSP, Darkside Phil, Phil Burnell, Dark Geppetto, who does he really fight for? What interests does he really serve? Who is really at the top of his priorities? Himself or that supposedly broken family of his? Don't worry, I'll wait.
Making bank, I would much rather be me. That's just me. Like, and everyone's different. Everyone is completely different. There's people who are like, I don't care, as long as I make the bank, I'll just make the bank. But that's not me. That's never been me. If that were the case, I would have done that years ago. When I was at the height of my popularity on YouTube, I would have sold out. I would have been Mr. Shill, like a lot of people became. You would have seen paid out.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Here, let me explain why that is, ladies and gentlemen. Let me look. I don't know if that video is out yet. Give me just a second. Really fast, really fast, really fast, really fast, really fast. Let's see here. Because I just did that video. Here we go. I got a video. If this video isn't already out yet, it's coming out, but you can find it by the date. I have a video coming out. It's not titled this, but this is what the premise was. Darkside Phil speaks on not being given the chance to shill and sell out. This was on the segment is from May 15th, 2025. I'm not sure if that video's out at the time that you're seeing this, but I already went over a segment of that where him talking about and how he was upset that he wasn't given the chance to sell out and shill and be a professional talking mouth or a walking billboard. So let's not, no, Phil, no. No, you don't get to say shit like that. You don't get to sit there and say, oh, Max is a liar because he has hashtag ad in his stream or in his videos, so you can't take anything that he says with any type of credence or credibility because hashtag ad, dude. And then you run around the next minute and say, oh, well, I would have loved to have done an advertisement for one of those companies, but no one wants to give me a chance. No one wants to give me an opportunity. No, you don't get to talk out of both sides of your snout like that. No, you don't get to do that. Not on my watch. You don't get to do that. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't get to do that.
Advertisements all over my streams. You would have seen product placements. You would have seen me being predatory to my audience and asking them to sign up for this.
You're predatory to them now. Oh, you think it's predatory by advertising something else that he'll get a cut of, by the way. Advertising something else to your audience outside of demanding tips, super chats, memberships, gifted memberships, subs, gifted subs, bits, not bits, what do they call those things? Kicks. And there's something else that you can do on YouTube, I think. Whatever, you get my point. That none of asking for all of that shit hundreds of times a day isn't predatory, but you advertising something, a product, to people in your audience who they may actually buy it, and he gets a commission, he gets a cut of it, he gets a percentage of it. That right there is considered predatory? Oh shit. All right, man. Choose your own adventure.
Referral club and this fucking subscription service and bank back when I could. I refused all of that. Literally every piece of it. I was one of the more positively looked at content.
He's lying, and he's lying for a bunch of reasons, because look at all those advanced game copies he got from fucking Machinima. And then look at the videos he had to make where he had to try to explain it away because he had sat there and shitted on other people who got the hot new releases early, and he had to make a huge stink about it. Then when he started to get it, then he had to go ahead and make literally dedicated videos devoted to him trying to explain away how he's different from the rest of those people. And he needs to do this for his business and so on and so forth. So he's different from them when he's really not. Fuck why.
Content creators, and I rejected the opportunities to monetize my content because I just wanted to be real and fair with my audience.
What are you talking about? You got ads on your shit. What do you mean monetize my content? He's been monetizing his content from day one. Remember PayPal dude Remember Pay Me Tons? I'm sorry, Patreon, dude? You damn near put playthroughs behind paywalls. Damn near. But he never monetized his content. All right, whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
I make no bones about it. If I had played the game back in the day like everyone else did, I would have been filthy rich. I could have been like,
You wouldn't have been rich. I wouldn't have said that. I mean, let's be honest. He would. I mean, he's made over what, 3 million at this particular point. More than that, probably. But he's definitely made over 3 million at this particular point. And he's still as broke as the very people he begs from, for the most part. So you would have never been filthy rich. Because you want to know what filthy rich, like what that inquires, what that requires, I should say, and what the inquiry of that is. You got to invest. You got to be able to save. You know, things that you know nothing about. You got to be able to actually squirrel some money away and be able to forget about it. You know what I'm saying? It's maxing out your 401k, or your IRAs, I should say. You should have IRAs, but maxing those out. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that you pay your taxes, stuff like that. Things that he don't do. Maybe giving up the drinking, giving up the gambling, giving up the spending addictions, stuff that he can't do. He'd have never been filthy rich. There's not enough money in the world to satiate what it is. He would have he more than likely would have just drank himself to death. If DSP won the lottery, let's say he won $40 million, you know what I'm saying, tomorrow. In a couple of years, I'd say in a few years, let's say within 5 years, he's either going to be broke or dead. He's going to either be broke or dead. And instead of living his life to the fullest and doing what him and Kat always wanted to do, this, that, and the third, he's going to want to flex. He's going to want to go online and show, hey, look, PewDiePie's got all his success. Well, I got money, so I'm successful too. Hey, look at me. I'm taking a trip here. I'm taking a trip there. And he's going to be looking at Instagram and on fucking Twitter all day, and as well as detractor Twitter, as well as the farms. He's going to be looking at that shit all day, looking for his dopamine hit. And eventually what's going to happen is no one's going to care. And he's going to end up stressing himself out. And he's going to end up basically checking out after that. That's what filthy rich would actually mean for DSP. Sad, bro. That's super fucking sad.
any of these people who did that. I could have been as big as the Rad Brad or Maximilian Dude.
No, never. Never in your life you would ever have been as big as those guys. Not at all. Not at all. You would have never have been as loved, respected, revered like those two. Not even close. Never in your fucking life would you have ever been held to the regard that those two guys are. You can eat a dick on that.
Or any of them. But I didn't play the game. I made that active choice.
So then why are you jealous of them then? If you had, great screenshot, if you had the same opportunities they had and you turned it down, then why do you think you're entitled to the right of being jealous for them? And that's not even how jealousy works now that I think about it, Phil. Well, I don't know much about it because I'm jealous of people. That's not something that I live my life for. Excuse me. But you're jealousy stems from being deprived of opportunities or advantages that that other people have that you don't. You're sitting here saying that you could have had all those opportunities and you chose not to do it. Then what the fuck are you jealous for? You don't have a right to be jealous. Now, one of you could make the not claim, but you guys could pose the argument that, oh, well, he sees the results of what they, of them playing the game. He sees the results of it and he's jealous of that. That's fair. But I don't think that's actually what it is. I think what it is, this is Cope, obviously. It's very clear that he would never have been given the opportunities that those two guys have, nor to anybody of the upper echelon of YouTube, Twitch, respectfully. He would have never been given those opportunities. He would have had a run for a little while and he would have faded out. It's just the reality of it. It's going to happen to 80 to 90% of people who do YouTube, Twitch, or whatever. That's just the pre-baked criteria and shit. Now, that doesn't mean you can't fight against it, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? But you should step into this being rather realistic. He would have never have had those things. It's not plausible. If Phil Burnell was actually a reasonable person, even then it would have only taken him so far. You know what I'm saying? And that's just being reasonable. I'm not talking about being nice. I'm not talking about being charitable. I'm not talking about being decent. I'm just saying being reasonable. Being pragmatic. Two things that he knows nothing about. he would have never have made it as far as those guys do. In his head, he thinks it's the sky's the limit. But the reality is, you have a bunch of limitations. They're glaring. And with every year that you draw breath, it's proven. And he hates it. He hates the fact that he's a fucking 40-year-old fucking man. But inside he's like 12 years old and he still thinks that the world is his fucking oyster. And it's not. It's really not. Now keep in mind, I'm one of the first people to tell you, it's never too late to reinvent yourself. It's never too late to go back to school, find a new career, start a new career, learn a trade. You're never too old to do any of those things. But he is, because he's not built like that. He doesn't have the mindset to do that, nor does he have the drive or the ambition. He could have never been any of those things. That's the real reason why he's jealous. Not because he gave up on those opportunities and they were able to take the baton and run with it. He was never given those things. And there was never a reason to give it to them. And truth be told, all of those businesses and companies and whatever dodged a massive bullet by not investing in his ass. And why was that, ladies and gentlemen? Because he wasn't willing to invest in himself. That's the reality of the situation.
To not play the game. And I now am where I am as a result. But I'm happy. You know, I'm happy. And that's the thing.
Yeah, you look it. Yeah, you look it.
If I worked for Keem in any capacity like that, I'd be doing content that I hate just for the sake of making a paycheck. And I don't want to do that. I don't. You know? So is there a missed opportunity? There was. The opportunity was the opportunity to make money. Because Keemstar knows how to make money. He knows how to print it. He knows what people like. He knows how to capitalize on it. He knows how to produce it. You know what I mean? But for me, I'm not sad. I don't have any sour grapes. You know, I'm happy who I am, where I am.
That's literally a lie, being that months and months in our current timeline in September, he's calling fucking Boogie and Wings employees and shit. And if Keem wants to talk to him, he needs to talk to him directly. And he's sitting there slamming them for every this, that, and the third, but no sour grapes though. Okay. He's sitting here sending Pete game on this. Pete game on this. He's sending fucking DMs to Boogie and Wings saying, you guys need to stop ignoring me and you guys need to talk to me and this, that, and the third. Does that sound like sour grapes? But he's not sending those emails or those DMs to Keem. So it's funny how he don't mind using the worker ants for his own advantage, right? But he won't go ahead and go to the queen bitch. Keem's a bitch. Don't get it twisted. He's definitely a bitch. But he ain't sitting there going to fucking the head gnome and whatnot and making those demands of him. He's sitting there still trying to work through Boogie and Wings because he knows if he can get one of them or both of them on his side, he has leverage. And now, at least for me, you know what I'm saying, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. So, you know, admittedly, but now I have a far better understanding on why. This is the reason why he wants Boogie and Wings, or one or the other, or both, so bad. Because he doesn't want a $50,000 sign-on bonus. He wants $50,000 a year guaranteed, and he wants the profits from the show, his cut of it. That's what he wants. That's what he wants. Interesting. And he needs Boogie and Wings as bargaining chips. Because let's be honest, he's not trying to get all three of them a guaranteed $50K plus what their shares of the show is. He wants just that for himself. And they can go ahead and just they just deal with their percentage and that's it. That's what he's going with. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this harkens back to that situation with John, Howard, and Respect the Pack. Does it not? I want you to dig deep. I want you to dig deep with that John and Howard situation. And then I want you to look and Respect the Pack about hey, these guys don't want to finish or are not able to finish what do they call it? Project 7. And hey, let's throw them a little bit of money. Oh, they don't want money. They say they don't need that. They just want the advertising. The same bullshit scam he pulled over there with them all those years ago, he's trying to pull the same shit here. He's just doing it in a different way. What is it that I try to tell y'all, ladies and gentlemen? The way DSP does anything is the way that he does everything. That's what he's doing. Fascinating. Oh boy.
You know, It's that simple. You really think that? Copium says, I don't think Maximilian's happy. He just projects that for the sponsors. You don't think he's happy? I think he's happy. He gets to do whatever kind of content he wants. He's not pigeonholed into one kind of content. He
Remember what I said earlier about the difference between freedom and independence? Big game.
makes tons of money. Like, why would he not? It's that simple. You really think that? Copium says, I don't think Maximilian's happy. He just projects that for the sponsors. You don't think he's happy? I think he's happy. He gets to do whatever kind of content he wants. He's not pigeonholed into one kind of content. He makes tons of money. Like, why would he not be happy? That actually confuses me. Isn't he happily married with kids too? Why on earth? Why wouldn't he be happy?
That shows you kind of how much of a simpleton DSP is. And it's not just DSP. There's a lot of people who feel like that. Not the family part. He threw that in there at the end so he could co-sign himself to it. The whole thing about, all the money and all the endorsements and all the, all the praise and shit like that, that's what he lives for. Max doesn't live for all that. Now, I don't think Max is miserable. I don't think that at all. The guy has a successful career on top of the YouTube and streaming, which are secondary, by the way. Actually, they're third, really, because his family actually comes before all that. But you see what DSP's actual motives are. But it's funny. Why are you so jealous of Max if you could have had what Max had, but you chose to go another path? So what are you actually jealous of? It's almost like you realize you made a mistake, and that would be predicated on whether those opportunities were actually presented to you. But it sounds like you really never had a chance at any of those opportunities and you're butthurt about it. In fact, I'll give you an example. I can give you a good example. Back when DSP, he had talked about it during, I want to tell you it's during the 6 years of machinima or debunking 7 years of slander. It might have been in one of those two. I can't remember now. But it's either in the machinima story that he told, or it's in the 7 years debunked, or 6 years of debunked shit, whatever it was. He had talked about how when machinima started passing out managed partnerships, he said, I don't believe this happened. I'm pretty confident it didn't happen, but whatever. He said he was in a three-way conversation. It was him, Maximilian, and Radbrad. And DSP said that Radbrad and himself were offered a managed partnership, and he said that Max wasn't. And he said that Max had conveyed to them that he was concerned that because he wasn't offered the managed partnership, would his content be protected? Like what would be the condition of his content at that particular point. Now, they were all on machinima at that time, I'm guessing. I know Max was for sure. I'm not sure about Radbrad. But, or Radrad, sorry. No, Radrad is fucking the dude from, I'm thinking Radbrad, sorry. Radrad is the dude from SOK. So he said that Max showed concern that because he wasn't offered a managed partnership at that particular time, would his content still be secure and so on and so forth. Now, I honestly think that conversation didn't happen. I honestly think that was absolute bullshit, to be honest with you. What it sounds like is a second-hand or even a third-hand account that someone told Max about, or that someone told DSP about, or whatever. Or he heard a conversation between a couple of content creators, and maybe Max and Radbrad was in that. Maybe. I don't think that really happened. It doesn't sound like something that you would tell Darkside Phil. But DSP was like, oh, well, I'm okay because I got my managed partnership, so it is what it is. It sounds like that. It sounds like cope. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like absolute fucking cope. Because DSP and Max started around the same time, per se. Max did some fighting game stuff, and he did Call of Duty stuff at the time. Matter of fact, his Black Ops 2 guides they hold up well to this very day. To be honest with you, especially his RoboCop build, which shows you what kind of fanboy I am. But his RoboCop build still holds well even now. I mean, I've tweaked it over the years and whatnot, especially playing Black Ops 2 on PC. Because it's the only real way you can play it right now. Unless they do a remaster of it. Not a remake, a remaster of it. But, and trust me, Black Ops 7 is not it. Not at all. But his builds, some of his builds still hold up to this very day. Anywho. I'm rambling, which is something I do a lot of, if you haven't noticed. I think that it's just cope. I honestly think it's Goat. But more importantly, it just shows where his priorities are. The very things that he's talking about that, oh, Max should be happy about because he has all those things. Max isn't that shallow. Most people aren't. Being able to take care of your family and whatnot is a utility. It's something that's mandatory, right? And you can take pride in that. But that doesn't necessarily make you happy. There has to be more to your life than that. But DSP don't have nothing. He's too scared to go outside. He has no friends. The only thing that he can boast himself about is what he can project to people, or what he can present to people, I'm sorry, to show trappings of his success. That's all it is. And when you really think about that, it's nothing. And if anything, it's actually kind of sad. Kind of sad. Hope sip.
Okay. Rich88 did a $2 super chat. Will you play Suikoden Remaster? The OGs were great.
I wish they had kept that in, being that we know how that played out now. Okay. A little bit more than what I was expecting and whatnot, but you know what I'm saying? Good things come in small packages. I'm sure Phil tried to convince Panda of that more than once. Anywho, let's see. Let's go ahead and change our scene and let's move on with final thoughts, and I'll let you guys go. Let's go with this. Let's go with the menu board. And big ups to Chio. Okay, so final thoughts. Yeah, I gotta say, hearing it back a couple times on what DSP wanted now gives me a much better idea of how what deal he wanted with Keem. And it also kind of helps me reinforce why DSP made it so hard for Keem to get a hold of him. Think of it as DSP's version of playing hard to get, I guess, and whatnot. He didn't want just a $50,000 sign-on bonus plus a percentage of the show, or 25% of the show. He wanted $50,000 guaranteed each and every year, and his percentage of the show. That's what he wanted. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a whole lot of sense now. And Keem probably wasn't willing to budge on it. That's why Keem wanted to talk to him. He wanted to negotiate. Oh, that opens up just a whole cornucopia of shit now. Absolutely delicious. Delicious. So that's my thoughts on that. The situation with Max and what real happiness is. What happiness is to you is not the same for other people. I don't need to explain that to any of you. But for DSP, he's a dent. So you kind of you got to spell shit out for him on that. And then since we've already spun the block, so to speak, let's talk about what we spoke about earlier in closing as it pertains to what would have been the better deal, Kino Casino or LOLCOW Live. And like I said, I'll name the segment later. I might record it right after this now I think about it while it's fresh. It depends on what DSP's motives are, to be honest. My overall, if I had to choose between Kino Casino or LOLCOW Live, if I was DSP, truth be told, there's no reason why he couldn't have done both. That's the way I look at it. There's no reason why he couldn't have done both. He didn't have to do them both at the same time, but there's no reason why he couldn't have done both. But I would have gone with LOLCOW Live. I want to tell you, I would have gone with LOLCOW Live for the quick money. You know what? Yeah, I want to tell you, I would have gone with LOLCOW Live for the quick money. But if I was to think, if I'm going to actually get into my own bag and I start thinking strategically, it would have been better to do Kino Casino and actually play the game, Phil, or play along or go along with some of the things that Andy and PPP were recommending and build up my value, or build up your value, I should say. Build up your value so when you go to LOLCOW Live, you can demand more money. And more importantly, you can broker and or facilitate a LOLCOW Live cross Kino Casino type situation. So I'm gonna be honest with you, I'd have gone with Kino Casino. Just because I'm looking downrange. I could make far more money doing the bit with Kino Casino Yeah, I could have made far more money doing them. I could have literally build up my streaming apparatus and all the peripherals and all that bullshit. I could have done all of that on the Kino Casino dime or off the Kino Casino stimulus package, and then go over there to fucking Keemstar and LOLCOW Live. And unlike Boogie and Wings and some of the other people that are over there on LCU, DSP is like, yeah, I don't need a new camera. I don't need this. I don't need that. I already have all that. So you can go ahead and take whatever was supposed to be expenses and you can throw that into my down payment, or you can put that into my advance. And I'm ready to work right away. And then if things work out after a few months, hey, I'm still cool with these guys from Kino Casino, which Keem is too. He's cool with at least Andy. Because of Happy Punch, whatever. That's a whole other thing. If you know, you know. Hey, why don't we do a crossover between us and Kino Casino? And DSP could have facilitated that. And doing so, he can demand a finder's fee. You know what I'm saying? Or a facilitation fee for making that happen. So, yeah, I would say Kino Casino would have been... It depends on what you want, though. It depends on what you want. It depends on what you're looking for. But let me know what you guys think, how you guys feel, and whatnot. And, you know what I'm saying? All opinions are welcome. And, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's pretty much the end of that. I don't think it gets any more straightforward, to be honest. Yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Snort Report. This has been DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Oh, yes! A GTG Networking Productions. For the Snort Report, SnortBucks Coffee Company, Tim Snortons, and Hard Snorts Gin and Tonic. I've been your host / anchor GTG, and I'm signing off. Yeah, I guess in the long term, I would have gone with Kino Casino, but in the short term, go with LOLCOW Live, to be honest. And I guess you could say, if he had gone to LOLCOW Live first and taken that stimulus package, he still could have facilitated a partnership with Kino Casino on his own little, as a whole little side gig, right? And still benefited from that. So he could have still had his percentage with LOLCOW Live, but he could still do some little Kino Casino stuff on the side. Because Keem's not going to want to fuck that connection up. Even though Keem, in that first year of LOLCOW Live, didn't, especially once he brought all those other shows in, he didn't want other people doing drama off of the LCU network. I'll think about that further. But either way. Anyway, I've been your host / anchor GTG. I'm signing off. Take care of yourselves, people. Like I said, if I keep going with this, I'm going to talk y'all ear off. And I'll just do that in another video with a little bit more structure. Take care of yourselves, people. Later.